Hi. So in this scenario, we want to take the information that is input into a Gavel workflow and have that sent via email to someone. So you can do this natively if you want to have it only sent to one email, or you can do this using Zapier if you want to have it CC'd or emailed to multiple people. So in the first example, let's just create a very quick test workflow. So we can say testing environment, and I always recommend that you have a testing environment when you're just trying to test one very specific thing. So you want to break the problem down into its very core essential pieces, which is, for example, having even a single question just to test one thing. So in this particular example, let's just test one thing, which is going to be somebody's first name. And we just want to know how to email this information to someone. So let's call this contact first name. Like I said, we just want to test one very specific thing, which is how to email someone something. So in our scenario here, we're trying to, let's say, just email someone natively within Gavel to just one email address. So we would say, even though we don't have any documents, don't worry about that. We're going to say send finalized documents to email address. So let's use the email address demo@gmail.com. Okay. We're just going to change a couple quick other things. I'm going to say skip final review page, and I'm going to change the last message just to thank you, which is the message that comes up at the end of the workflow. So now we have an extremely simple workflow that we're going to just test one thing. So we're just going to test to see what happens when we email someone with this information. Now, there's one more thing I want to change, which is the point of this is to have the information that is within the workflow emailed to someone. So in order to do that without any documents here, is you're going to change the email automation template that will show after someone gets emailed. So, for example, in this particular case, we want to change the subject here from here are your documents to say like something like here are the answers. And so maybe we would put the answers in here. So I would say like, hi. And then I would say, here are the answers to the interview questions. And then you'd have whatever. So you can say like contacts or clients or something, first name, and then you would want to put this variable in here. So you can use that $sign and curly brackets around it. And then you just need to put exactly the way that it shows here on your variable. So in this case, contact first name like this. And then maybe put thanks, and then you can put like your name or something like that. So let's go ahead and save this, and we're just going to run this and see what happens when we run this particular one the way that we've just configured it. So I'm just going to refresh this. So in our scenario, we just have a first name variable, and we're having that emailed to someone. So when we have the email sent to someone, you'll see the messages, thank you, here at the top, and then you'll see email sent messages, thank you, your information has been submitted. So now you can see here that we have the email that we just set up. So here are the answers, which is what we put in the email automation template here. Here are the answers. And then when we click into it, we can see, hi, here are the answers to the interview questions. Contact's first name, Brittany. Thanks, Brittany. So you can see that you can do this all within Gavel here. Now, if you wanted to have this email automatically sent to multiple people, right now, you currently can't send to more than one person with this email function here. So you wouldn't be able to put, 3 emails here or whatever else. However, you can do this using Zapier. So in this second scenario, we're going to connect Gavel to, let's say, Gmail. And then you say when a workflow is completed, then find or send email or reply to email or whatever. So you have send email. So you're just going to say try it. So we need to connect our Zapier account. So let's say choose, and we're gonna, in this case, I'm gonna choose Gavel A2J, which is the one I'm using to demonstrate this. Then we're gonna find the one that we've been using. So in this case, testing environment. We're gonna test our trigger. They found data. And then we're gonna connect our Gmail account. So I'm gonna find mine here, and then say allow. So now that's connected and say continue. So now you can see that you can do a to. So you can write this in. So you can say, for example, that whenever this workflow is completed, I want you to send a message to these exact people. You could also have these be variables that you create so that you don't have, let's say you don't always want it sent to the exact same person. You want it to send to like a particular variable, for example. You could do that. So, for example, we could add some questions here, maybe a drop down of some kind, or even if you didn't want this to show on the end user side, let's say for a drop down, for example, then you can do that kind of with invisible logic. But in this first straightforward example, let's just say that we're inputting like that it would always be this person. So for example, it would always be to demo at gmail.com. And then you'd always have it to where this particular person is CC'd. Let's say demo at cormeum.pro and whatever else, what other people you would want CC'd as well. So in this particular instance, you could also choose who this is from. Let's say it's from demo at gmail.com. The from name, and you can kind of configure this as you would like. So maybe I say demo, and we have a reply to of demo at gmail.com. You can give it a subject, so I can say like workflow completed or like answers inside. So that what difference we have here from what we were doing before is we're just able to customize like CC a little bit more and like BCCs and froms and things like that. So it just gives you like a little bit more customization this way if you wanted to CC different people. And if we continue on, you can still do the same kind of thing with body. So we can say the same type of thing, which is hi. Here are the answers to the interview questions. And then you can put in variables, for example. So we talked about like first, so like maybe contacts, first name, and then you can put in whatever you want from the data that's entered in the workflow. Here, for example, even the name of the workflow you can put in as well. And you can have a signature, label, etc., etc. So let's go ahead and go and say continue, and then we can say test action. Before we do, let's just quickly, I'm just going to put this as a test for Gavel to Gmail. Then you could even put like the name of the, you could even put the name of the particular workflow or whatever action to make it to where you can know exactly which one this is for. So let's go ahead and test this action. And then when you're ready, you can publish it. So let's just see if this fired. So we have from myself, because I'm demo, workflow completed, answers inside. So we say, hi, here are the answers to the interview questions, contact's first name, test text. So you could add different things. You can configure this differently. If you wanted more spaces, for example, between here, so it's not so squished together, you can add like best, you can say like best Emmy, so you can just test it however you would like for this to look. We could even test this again if we like. Okay. So if we check our email now, we can see that we have this here with the kind of updated information that we wanted here. We can also see that we have this sent to the other email address, which in this case is demo@commam.pro. So we have it from demo, workflow completed, answers inside. And then we can see, hi, here are the answers to the interview questions, contact's first name, best, Demi. And then we can see kind of like the reply to, the CC, and so on. So that is how you can make it to where the interview questions are emailed to multiple people on CC. In this last scenario, I'm going to show you if you had different people depending on different answers. So, for example, like if you, for your action, you wanted to email a variable rather than a specific email address, depending on the answer to some particular choice you've made, then you can do that by creating, let's say, a drop down or some kind of select choice when you're in your interview. So let's say, for example, we want to send it to a particular attorney or particular partner or whatever else, depending on our choice that particular time. We can do that like this. So let's say like who is the associate attorney, and then we can say like associate attorney name. And then we can give a choice like attorney 1, attorney 2. This would be like somebody's name, like Sarah and John or whatever else. And then we can also have a partner name. So let's put a drop down for a partner's name. So like who is the partner on this case? So then we can give a variable name, so partner name. And we can give partner 1, and we can give partner 2. So in this scenario, we just need to or want to now attach some emails to these people. So one way we can do this, so you could just have, it depends on if you're using this sort of internally, so you don't mind if there's just emails here that you want to send it to. So you, instead of like these, maybe you would have like another, maybe you'd have another question that has email or something. But I think maybe a cleaner way would be to just have some invisible logic, which is like email addresses. And you're just associating the person's name with an email address. That automatically will always be the case that you can update if you want to. So in that case, we'd want to use some invisible logic. Let's do the first one as the associate attorney. So let's say associate attorneys. And then we're going to say like associate attorney email address, for example. And in your invisible logic, you'd say if associate attorney name is attorney 1, then this email address equals, and then you put in whatever the email address is. In this case, let's say demo@gmail.com. And then you would say else if associate attorney name is attorney 2, then this email address is instead going to equal demo@cormeum.pro. So now we have this situation to where when somebody chooses associate attorney name, then this variable is set up like this, where if it's attorney 1, then this equals demo@gmail.com. But if the answer is 2, then send it to this email address. We can do the same thing for the partners. So let's go ahead and add a new page here. So we can say invisible logic, email addresses, partners, and then we're going to add a question and do invisible logic. And then same thing here. We're going to say partner email addresses, or address in this case. And then we're going to say add invisible logic. So we're going to say if partner name is partner 1, then the partner email address is going to be whatever that's going to be. So let's say that's going to be demo@gmail.com. And else if the partner name is partner 2, then we want the partner email address to be this other one. So in my case, let's say sohail@gourmetum.pro. So depending on the input we have on the front end, we're going to have a different email address on the back end. So the first thing is just see what this looks like now that we've made it. So you'll see that you don't actually see any kind of invisible logic here. What you only see is first name, then you see the option to pick an associate attorney, and you see the option to pick a partner on the case. Now, the next step would be to figure out where you want all this information to go in Zapier. So in the first app, we made it to where the emails are sent to specific people, not variables. So specific email addresses like this one and this one. Now, like I said, what we're trying to do in this case is to instead send it to a variable that changes depending on our inputs here. So in that case, you would need to refresh this. So since we just made a lot of updates here, we'd want to have that kind of refresh and show here, for example, so that we can interact with the data, the new data. So one way you can help kind of refresh this is to go back to your trigger here and say refresh fields. We want to see some new data. So maybe we load more, for example, to try to force it to find us some new data. So now we can see the associate attorney email and name and first name and partner email address and the name. So you kind of have to kind of force it to refresh. So now we can see and interact with that information. So we still want the action to be that we send an email in Gmail. So let's go ahead and continue. But now we can interact with more data. Now we can interact with all of this information. So for example, if we want the variable of, let's say an associate attorney's name, or let's say we want this to be sent to ourselves, and then we want to CC an associate attorney name or a partner name, for example, we can do that. So let's say we want to send this to ourselves and have those people CC'd. So let's say we have demo@gmail.com, or this could be like let's say the paralegal or the assistant to the associate attorney or whatever else. So you would just do the same process if you wanted to create a variable here instead. But just to show this kind of example, we could CC the associate attorney email address. So let me just find that really quick. Oh, here. Okay. And then you would just CC on the other side the partner email address here. So now in this case, you're using the invisible variables that you created in this app. So we can BCC anyone, and we can have who it's from, and then kind of same process here, reply to, etc., answers, and so on. So we can continue, and now in this case, we could test this, we can publish it, or whatever else. So once you're ready for this to be turned on, you just turn it on. And then we can test this kind of like from actually running it here to see what happens when we choose certain people. So let's go ahead and run this from the beginning. So we're just going to say Brittany, and then who's the associate attorney? Let's say attorney 1, and the partner on the case, let's say, is partner 2. And if we say continue, and then we can see that the information has been submitted, we're going to see that we have the email here. And because we still have set up the other option here in the back end, so right now we still have it to where we've checked this information to say send finalized documents to email address, and we have the settings set up to where the email automation is this information here. Then you can kind of compare the two options. So in this particular first one, which we first set up, we have here our answers, here are the answers. But from the Zap that fired, we have workflow completed, answers inside. So hi, here are the answers to the interview questions. We can see who's been CC'd, which in this case is Sohail, which was partner 2, and demo@gmail.com, which was attorney 1, I believe. And so we can see that. So I'm going to just show you the Sohail one as well. The person who was CC'd has also received this from Demi Demo, workflow completed, answers inside, and they've received the same information. So that's how you can make it to where you use and compare the sort of internal or native sort of document automation or email automation settings within Gavel, and how you can harness kind of Zapier as well to kind of customize how you want these to be CC'd or BCC'd or to, and using kind of different techniques, including things like having an drop downs that you choose who the partner is if you want it to be a variable, or just putting directly in somebody's email if you always know that you always want it to be sent to those particular people. So I hope that's helpful, and I'll see you next time.